So I'm going to run through Ironman Austria, which was another Ironman full distance event or long course event. I'm going to go into a few of the details as to what may have gone down, what happened throughout the race, and what I'm going to be doing going forward to try and rectify that, because it didn't go to plan all in all, and obviously I'm very disappointed. This would be really nice if I didn't have to lug it up to the top. Today has been a day. Started in those little block rooms in Gatwick. Flight, fine, half an hour delay, but you know, it is what it is. This is after getting in at 1 a.m. to Gatwick on a very long train, 5 hours I think it was, from Cardiff. I don't know why. It wasn't even like that ridiculous in terms of like train times. And then yeah, today arrived and then just could not get the trains right for whatever reason. Or I got the trains right, but they just took forever. So it's taken me literally from an 8 o'clock flight this morning. It's taken me until, I think it's 7:30 now, Austria time, to get into the apartment. Train after train. I was probably mucking it up. I was probably getting it wrong. But got here in the end. 4 hours on that last train. Battery running out on the phone quick, starting to panic. Managed to get myself into a little air-conditioned room on the train towards the end. Got some extra battery. And then the taxi driver couldn't even find the accommodation, so it's just been a day. And then I had to lug my suitcase up and bike up 3-4 flights of stairs. Okay, first ride in Austria. It is quite warm already, it's only 10:30, but Jesus Christ, look at this. Pretty scenic, so see how it goes. Stunning. I think this is genuinely one of the most stunning courses I've ever ridden. It's unbelievable. Look at this behind me. It's going to be hard to keep my eyes on the race, but this course is so nice. Like, the road surfaces are unbelievable. Austria is sick. Like, this makes up for a hassle full of travel. It's honestly amazing. But yeah, we'll see on race day, but it's so far so good. So first things first, Ironman is a different kettle of fish for the long course event. 70.3 is different. You can get over it and get through it, and it's okay, and you can kind of like get away with a lot more things. However, in the full version, it's a bit of a puzzle to get it all right, and kudos to all of those people who can do it over and over again, because it's bloody hard, and especially when you're racing it, to like get the most out of yourself and be on that fine line edge sort of thing. And
tell us then. Give us the
about
lowdown.
30 degrees, and historically I don't cope very well in 30 degrees. In fact, anything above about 20 degrees is a struggle.
Beautiful though.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
This is crazy.
Bear in mind that I'm not someone who is the best in the world, so to extract the most out of myself takes a lot out of me, and I need to be in like peak shape to try and be competitive, because I'm not like a Christian Blumenfeld who can probably bounce off of the back of a full distance and go and race a 70.3 or vice versa. They don't have to be in peak condition for either one of them. So I'm concentrating on a full Ironman this time round, or this year should I say. So that kind of like pursuit of Nice and the World Championships is on the forefront of my mind. This is not going to plan this year. It's proving far more difficult than I realised to be able to qualify. I knew it was going to be difficult to qualify, but more so difficult to kind of like execute a full distance event, like race after race. I mean, they've been really difficult so far in terms of the quality of fields, but not only that, I think that it's a case of the conditions haven't really suited me either.
Track or on the bike doing hard efforts. I'm not dreaming about consistent third places or fourth places or whatever. I'm dreaming about winning. That's why we're all in this situation. That's why we're all here. And yeah, obviously last year to come so close twice was really bittersweet. But as Jan says, getting on the podium is...
So I've done Ironman South Africa and Ironman Austria, and they've both been roasting. So in excess of 30 degrees, and the humidity also very high. So they haven't played into my strengths.
In Rot und in Blau, die wir sowieso auf den Ständern abgehängt.
I'm not sure if you can come much further.
Right. I might just wait here anyway.
So anyway, from the top, the swim. Because of the heat and humidity, my whole idea of the day was to try and be on the conservative side of things, to try and be as close to the front as possible with as minimum like effort as possible. Obviously it's going to be effort, but in the grand scheme of things, for me, be on that conservative, err on the side of caution side of things, rather than like just go gun-ho from the beginning, race it from the start sort of thing. So even in the swim, even though I was like here or thereabouts in the mix, I was probably sitting about 6th or 7th, maybe 7th or 8th in the line as we started like lining out after the gun. And I was like, sweet, okay, I think that everyone ahead of me are decent swimmers and we're all going to stay together, because when it lines out it gets a little bit easier. That didn't happen. The person in front of me, whoever it was, dropped the feet, and I didn't want to go around him to shut the gap by the time I'd realised, because again, if that kind of mentality was err on the side of caution, and I had that in the back of my mind, I think that then caused me to not act in that scenario, to jump across, because it was expelling a lot of energy and I didn't want to overheat, and I didn't want to kind of like get onto the bike already a little bit cooked. So it was fine. I was like comfortable with that decision, and I was like, that's absolutely fine. I'll kind of work with this group and stay kind of like controlled until the end of the swim. So I took my turn on the front, and another person came around me after I'd like kind of stopped swimming hard. And then we got to the end of the swim, jumped on the bike and went to work trying to catch the front lot, which was a front group of, I think it was 4 in the end, because 2 people got dropped. Bear in mind, Lucas Voits is one of the best swimmers, or the best Ironman swimmer there is at the moment. I think he's probably the fastest at 43, I think it is. So that front of the swim was quite quick. I experienced that in Almere. I know it's fast. So that went off with a group of 4, and me and Clement Mignon then ended up trying to catch them, and did so about halfway into lap 1, I think it was. So not that quick, but fairly quick, because there was a 2-minute gap and we managed to close that. So that was quite good, because at that point I was then at the front of the race. We were holding a decent pace. I'd previously worked with Clement to get there, but then I kind of like settled into the group and just made sure that I wasn't expending too much energy. Again, erring on the side of caution, because I know that I don't cope well in the heat usually. So that kind of rolled through until halfway through the second lap, I think it was, where Finn attacked, and again, err on the side of caution. Not that I was like feeling great, because obviously we're 100 and something K into the bike. So again, that kind of like back in my mind mentality was to kind of hold back rather than push forward and be aggressive. So I just wasn't in the mood to go for it, / I may not have even been able to. So that was kind of what happened there. He then put a ton of time into us as we were mucking around in the group trying to like recompose ourselves. We ended up with a group of 3 of us coming in. So it was Lucas, who rode really well, Clement, who also rode really well, and myself behind Finn. I was then out onto the run in 2nd place, which was great for me. Clement quickly overtook me, but then it was like I was in the top 3, and then there was a group that was another few minutes behind us as well. So I was in a good position now, and I'd felt as though I'd done everything in the race prior to the point now correctly. I'd taken on about 2 litres per hour on the bike. I'd had all of my nutrition. Everything had kind of gone to plan. So it was like, okay, cool, just settle into your rhythm, hold back on the run, but like still hold your pace as best as possible. And I wasn't even overreaching. I've run faster than this in the past. So in my mind, I wasn't overreaching, but obviously I was, because I did the first like 10k and I was like, this is so comfy. Then the next 10k I was like, okay, well, I'm having to work for this now, but it's still there, which you'd expect. Still trying to take on my nutrition and hydration. And then it got to the like 20 to 28 mark, where I usually start to suffer, but usually because of cramp. Whereas this time it wasn't really because of cramp at all. I'd managed to hydrate enough, but I experienced exactly what I was experiencing in Barcelona, which was overheating, essentially, going a little bit lightheaded and dizzy. I wasn't quite at that stage because there was a lot of like ability to kind of try and drench myself with water and cool in aid stations and things. But at the same time, I knew that my body was just kind of like trying to hold back, and it wasn't letting me push on, especially as half of the course was no shade whatsoever out in the heat and the sun, and then the other half, or quarter maybe even, was in the shade. And when I hit the shade, I was able to push on again, which, you know, I'm pretty sure most people are able to do that. So I got around the first, like, basically lap and a half of 2 laps, and I was like, I'm literally almost walking more than I'm running now. Even though my legs weren't in pain, my body was in really good shape in terms of the muscular conditioning and stuff. It was more so just, I wasn't able to push. Like, my system was a bit fried, and I didn't feel like out of energy at all either. So it's not like I wasn't fueled. It was just, I couldn't carry on at the intensity that I wanted to, probably because of the heat is now what we think. And I'll go into a little bit more of this in upcoming videos. So if you do suffer in the heat, do hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to go into a few videos of how I'm battling this and how it ends up in future races. Because at the end of the day, loads of these races in Europe or abroad in South Africa are hot. That is, whether it be global warming or whatever it is, they're just warm races. So I don't want to have to cherry pick races that are cooler because my physiology won't allow it. So I'm going to try and like basically get over that to an extent to the best of my ability, so that I can race races that I want to do, that the courses suit me, for example. So all in all, I got to 30k in the run and decided to call it quits, DNF, and I hate DNFing, as I said in the Barcelona video, but at the end of the day, it's probably for the best for the rest of my season. So yeah, it sucks. It's another Ironman that I didn't manage to put together, but I've got to remember that these long races, they're probably 50-50 with me actually putting out a good result and not putting out a good result from the past 2 seasons. So in last season, I didn't manage to do that well in Barcelona, but then actually in Almere and Roth, which were both the long races, I managed to actually put out really good performances, which was 8th in Roth and 2nd in Almere. And then this year, yeah, I mean, both races I haven't done that well in at all. So both in South Africa and in in Austria, they've both been poor for different reasons, I think. Same reason really in terms of the heat, in terms of like cancelling my race towards the end, but in South Africa there were other things going on as well, and I don't think I hydrated enough in South Africa. So I hydrated enough here, but the dehydration caused me to cramp in South Africa, whereas the heat exhaustion, maybe if you want to call it that, or heat fatigue, caught up with me in this one. So yeah, it's just gonna have to be a case of getting used to being able to cope with the heat, just in case. But then at the same time, my next 2 races are going to be in the UK, but that doesn't mean anything because it could be hot, it could not be. There's been both. So I'm really hoping that I'm able to put together a good performance and actually deliver my potential in the next 2 races, because that's all I really want, is to be able to deliver that potential. And I did that so well in the previous season for the most part, for like, I don't know, 80% of my races, and I haven't done that yet this season. So I just want to be able to do that, and wherever that lands me, whether it be kind of in the top 3, top 5, or whether that be 10th or 20th, I don't really mind. Obviously I prefer to be towards the pointy end, but it's more important that I actually extract that potential rather than just not delivering for one reason or another. But again, I think that's why I'm so frustrated with this performance, is because I thought I did everything right in the preparation. I thought I did everything right in the race itself, and my body still failed me. And I still believe that I did everything right in the race, and I do believe that I did whatever I could be doing correct in the lead up. But I think that something else needs to be done, and it needs to be something along the lines of that heat preparation, heat adaptation side of things. So yeah, I've been talking to people, I've been working with my partners, and yeah, we're gonna go into a few more of those details in the next coming videos. So stay tuned. Hope you like this little update, and I'll see you next time.